everybody. This is Mary with Yard Art RS. Hope you guys are having a good evening. Gonna do some painting. Today is December 1. December the 1st. Cannot believe November is gone. Hi Debbie, how are you? So good you could join me. I am here today, December 1st, y'all. Can't believe it's December 1st, but excited that it is. Excited that I've survived this long in the year 2020. I think everybody probably feels that way. I'm not the only one, I'm certain. And we're going to work on showing you guys how to do a very simple Christmas present. Super duper easy. We're going to talk about a few things along the way. It is December the 1st, 2020. We have one more month and then it's year 2021. So glad you guys could join me. So I always talk about, well not always, but I talk about sometimes a little tub of water. And this is my little tub of water that I use. Hey Carla, how are you? So glad you could join me. I'm excited to be here. I haven't done a live in a while and it feels like I miss y'all. I hope y'all miss me. So here's my little jug of water. But this is something that I've always used, and as my brushes get dirty, I plop them in there. And I just I have a new setup. I have a new setup here where I put my camera a little bit further away. Hey Debbie, how are you? And so I think you guys are going to be able to see a little bit more of what I'm doing because I bought a different camera stand. And so I put the camera stand further back, so I'm hoping that you guys can see a little bit better. You know, we didn't start doing lives until I think March of this year, so it's like anything else. It just takes a while to get everything kind of figured out the way you like it. Hey Connie. Connie is my sister, y'all. She always takes up for me, looks out for me, goes behind me and worries about me if I'm doing something wrong and tries to make it right. So she does all kinds of good stuff for me. Hey, Kimberly, how are you? Okay, so we're gonna do a Christmas present challenge. It's gonna be 2 nights. You're gonna see it's gonna be super simple. Hopefully I'm gonna make painting yard art seem simple. Hey, Lauren, how are you? Lauren is a really good family friend. I've known her for years. Has a beautiful little boy. So we're gonna paint, I'm gonna do some painting. And we're gonna do this first part tonight is kind of like base coating and stuff like that. And then we'll do the decorative part tomorrow night with some poly on this. But this is kind of what we're shooting for. I like polka dots, you may not. If you don't like polka dots, you could do stripes. You could leave it solid. You don't necessarily have to do anything. Hey Mari, how are you? So glad y'all could join me. So I have 2 little presents here tonight. I think I'm probably gonna paint both of them just to kind of give you an idea. So I'm starting with some raw MDO. This is what we use, MDO. And I'm going to do some base coating using my mop brush. And I think I'll do it just like the 2 finished ones. I'll make a red box here with a green bow and a green box here with a red bow. So I've got my Christmas green. I always put these in our larger condiment bottles. And then this is our number 20 red. Okay, so using my mop brush, I'm going to hopefully show you how simple this is. Because I'm starting with red here, I tend to go ahead and put a lot of paint on here. My brush isn't loaded yet, and I need to load that. Share to your timeline. Oh, Debbie, I think I better do that. I don't think I can do that right now, but maybe I could do that after this. So I feel like I know what I'm doing when it comes to painting, and I'm trying to learn what I'm supposed to be doing when it comes to technology and social media. Lauren, you doing good? Happy holidays. Hi, Terry. So glad y'all could join me. Gonna be painting a little bit of a Christmas present, something very simple. Just the whole, painting is painting regardless of, I really think kind of no matter what it is. But in our case, we're talking about painting Christmas yard art. And something as simple as a present. You know, this is not a very big item, not a very fancy item, not a very difficult item, but still, I think it's probably one of my favorites just because it just kind of gets you in the spirit and in the mood. And there's something to be said about being a creator and making something from beginning to end, so to speak. Because as I always say, you could sit around and think about your troubles, which unfortunately there are many, Or you could get busy and do something. Doesn't make your troubles go away, but it does put you in a better frame of mind, perhaps to maybe deal with the troubles, you know. So I've always loved to create. When my husband and I were a lot younger, we used to do a lot of, back in those days, people did a lot of, what do you call it, wallpapering. So we don't wallpaper anymore, but we've always kind of done something, you know. So when we were younger, we did a lot of wallpapering, and then kind of got started in yard art when our kids were really little, just because I liked, you know, decorating the yard and putting the lights up and all that kind of stuff, and making everything look really festive. So we started doing yard art many years ago, and here we are still doing it. And that's probably because in our heart of hearts, I think we're creators or makers. That's just what we do. Some people are competitors, and some people are, you know, just really, really good at doing techie things and making electronics work. Some people are really good at cooking, you know, all sorts of things that people do. But we've always kind of been the DIYers and home improvement or making something kind of thing with wood. So I got my, using my mop brush, I got my red there, and I'm just gonna do my red box, kind of giving it, I did the red bow over there. And one of the things that we always talk about doing and we like to do is just painting our sides for two reasons. It keeps the moisture from coming in and helping protect your MDO. It just kind of looks good, I think. Makes it look complete. So I typically will do those edges first. Kind of throw some paint on there. And then I'm going to put a little bit more paint on my brush because I don't have a whole lot. So I'm going to do this. And I'm just taking that paint and getting it to go where I want it to go. I tend to put a lot of paint on things. That's what I've always done. And people who've worked with me in the past, they've asked me, aren't you worried about, you know, how much paint you use? Well, I guess I am. I like a lot of coverage, and I like it to be even. And if you have a good base coat, then you're good to go on everything else, I think, in terms of you've got a good start. And so I'm going to turn this present around. Kathy, how are you doing? Let's see. Let me see my comments, y'all. Hold on just a second. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Okay, Cindy says, you're so sweet and gracious to share your talent with others. Thank you so much. You know, I'm the one who feels privileged to be with you guys because, I don't know, I think it's human nature. We get wrapped up in our own little world, or I do. And, you know, you don't get to see people, certainly this last year, and fellowship with people that much. And it's kind of good for me in the sense that it gives me a social connection, and I get to do what I like doing. And it's so good to do what you love to do, but it's way better to share it with people. And sometimes people will ask me, are you worried about people competing with you and selling yard art? No, I'm not. This is a community of people. It's not about a competition. If there's anything I can do to help any guys, gals, people, whatever, and I've encouraged, and Ashley feels the same way, we're going to do it. And because I feel like we really can't lose as a business if we have a following. It doesn't mean the following is going to buy everything from you and all of that. It means the following is interested in us and interested in what we're doing. We'll sell some blanks to some of you guys. Some of you guys maybe we won't. And that's good. We'll sell paint to some of you guys. Maybe to some of you guys we won't. But it's all good because in the end, regardless of what we sell or don't sell, we're creating a community. And I really, I'm older than a lot of you guys, and I've done this a long time. And it really is important to me to mentor young people, or to mentor people who are not as old as I am, and to encourage anybody, doesn't matter how old you are, to pick up a paintbrush, or it could be anything. If you want to crochet, or if you want to knit, or if you want to do ceramics, or there's so many different crafts. I don't know any of them, I just know painting. But to pick up something and do something and create something that is beautiful, that's pretty, that's meaningful, it just doesn't get any better than that, y'all. I don't care what anybody says. Money can't buy that. You know, you can't get that sense of accomplishment and that sense of feeling of, hey, I did that. You know, that looks good. Any other way. And there's no shortcuts. It's work, but anything worth having would be. So we love sharing with you guys and love being, I never thought I would say this, because when we first started doing lives, I really didn't like them, in the sense that I was worried, am I forgetting this? Am I not saying that? Did I, you know, I don't know. Did I look fat? Did I look old? Did I look stupid? Whatever, because there's many things we all think about. But now that I'm more comfortable with the technology end of it, I'm certainly comfortable with the painting end of it. And as y'all can tell, I'm certainly comfortable running my mouth, so that's not a problem. Now that I feel a little bit better about the technology, then I'm all good, right? If I screw up, I screw up. Hey, who hasn't? So Kim Riley's watching. Hey, Kim, I'm glad you could join us. So I want to show y'all what I do. Sometimes I'll use different mop brushes, because I'll have a lot of mop brushes clean, and sometimes my brushes are dirty and I'm just lazy and I don't want to wash them. So I have my little water in here, and I don't think you can see below the water line, but all I'm doing is taking my fingers and fanning that brush out. All the brush, I'm just fanning it out. I'm fanning the brush out because that's what's going to make the paint come out. And you can see I just got some water right there, but that's all good. We'll fix it. So what am I doing? Underwater, I'm taking this and I'm just cleaning that brush like this. So getting all that red paint out. What I'll do, once I get all the red paint out, see, that didn't take long, did it? I got a wet brush, so that's okay. I'm going to dry it a little bit. Now I'm gonna go with my green, and got my wet brush here. I have some, y'all can see some watermarks there, no biggie. I'm gonna cover them. And so I'm going to load this brush up, and just like I do in a lot of my videos, I'm trying to do this to where it's important to me that you guys really get to see every little thing that I do, because I know that just watching me, regardless of the words that come out of my mouth, I know that watching me, you might be able to pick up a little tip or a little trick, or, you know, just a little idea of how we get paint on the board, because really that's what it's all about. So my comments are not scrolling, and I don't really know why. Hold on, y'all. I've learned a lot just watching you now. I need squeeze bottles and a hurt of your brush. Yeah, that's what I was saying a little earlier. It just doesn't matter what I say sometimes. It's really what I do in front of the camera. Of course, I want to say things that are going to be helpful, but really just watching me in front of the camera, because when I'm trying to learn something from somebody, I spend a lot of time watching what they do, not necessarily listening to what they say. So I'm taking that brush and I'm just loading it back and forth right now. And then I'm going to just cover that. And I put a lot of paint on here. I kind of put a lot of paint on here because honestly, a lot of times I only put one coat. Now, if you want to put less paint and do 2 coats, super cool. No problem with that. You can do, if that's what you like to do, you can certainly do that. Honestly, I probably don't do that because we do this for a living, so we're, always have to be thinking about the clock. A couple of things I wanted to share with you guys while I am painting. Actually, Ashley and I sat and I made a little list so I wouldn't forget. And I have my little list right over here, y'all, so I'm doing good. So proud of myself. We will be closed at the store December the 24th at 2 o'clock all the way through January 8th. We'll open up back on the 9th of January. And it's typical for us to be closed about 2 weeks. Every year, it's the only time we're closed. Last year, we went on vacation to California. Of course, we won't be going on vacation this year. We have some remodeling projects that we'll be working on. And so we'll probably be at the store a lot doing remodeling. But we will be closed. So if you want, and Ashley will be doing a sneak peek on Monday. So if they find any blanks that you want, or you're gonna want, then we'll have those in the system by Monday. She'll be doing a sneak peek, and actually Miss Victoria is going to do one of them on Sunday. She's got a video coming up on Sunday for a New Year's piece. So if you decide you want that, but just know that we'll be closed on the 24th and we'll open back up on the 9th. And in the fall, we were open on Mondays. Starting in January, we will be back to being closed on Mondays. So Tuesday through Sunday will be open, and Mondays will be closed. We typically only open on Mondays starting in September when we're real busy. So I have my present, right? I'm just kind of going all around letting you see it. It didn't take long. It's really wet. That's pretty normal for the way I paint. Tomorrow night, I'm going to do the decoration for you, okay? So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to paint the box part on this guy. Also, we have a lot of people looking for videos, asking us about videos that we've done in the past. So glad you are watching those and that they're helpful. Glad to hear that. Also, remember, there's two ways you can access videos that I think might be helpful. Because we have a lot of videos, obviously. If you'll go to the Facebook group, the Painters Club group, and you'll go to the media section, and under the media section, I believe is where all the videos, or it might even say video section. Somebody tell me if it's video or media. It's one or the other. And you can see all of our videos there. And, or you can always go to YouTube, type in Yard Art or Us. And if you don't mind, if you do that, if you would subscribe to our channel, that would be great. And on YouTube, I actually have a thumbnail. On every video, you should see the thumbnail of the finished product. So when you see this picture as in the video, then you'll know what I'm painting is this present. So on there, I tried to put a thumbnail of every finished piece that was covered in that video. So you can go to YouTube and type in Yard Art or Us and do it that way. And it's pretty easy to find, I think. You can scroll through there. So YouTube, or you can go to Facebook, go to the media section, or it's the video section. I can't remember if it's media or video. And you'll see all of our videos there. Obviously, if it's a video that we did 3 months ago, you're going to have to scroll some to find it. So I'm doing this green paint. I'm just kind of getting a lot of paint on here. Like so. Doing that. I put a lot of paint on my edges because I think it looks good. You probably don't have to put as much. Now, we've also had people reach out to us and say, hey, I'm having trouble finding MDO. First, we advertise that we use MDO, then everybody kind of starts looking for it, and they're like, I can't find it in my area. So if I could speak to that a little bit, maybe give you some hints. Medium density overlay is a signboard material. I highly doubt that you're going to find it at a Lowe's, a Home Depot, or a hardware store. More than likely, there's two places you're going to find it. You're going to find it at a true lumber yard or a sign supply place. Now, if you live in a smaller city, somewhere, like we're in the greater Houston area, so there's bazillions of stores around here, but if you're not in that situation and you can't find it, then one thing you could do is use like a plywood. Now, if you go the route of plywood, we used to once upon a time use plywood, but we haven't used plywood in a long time because it's not going to weather as well as MDO. Now, the thing about MDO is it's more expensive than the plywood, so I get that. So let's say you don't want to invest in plywood. You don't want to invest in MDO, you want to go plywood. What you can do is if you'll buy the plywood, make sure you primer the heck out of it. And I do mean front to back, top to bottom, sides, edges, crevices, holes, any of that. Make sure you prime it very, very well. And then if I were using plywood, I would use something like this. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a 3M product, but anything that could seal those edges. Because here's the deal in any of your plywood types of material. Your enemy is moisture, okay? The moisture is not really going to come in through the face of the plywood or the back of the plywood. It's going to come in through the edges, and this is what I'm calling the edges. So if you do use the plywood, I would take a sealer and seal your edges really, really well, especially and pay attention when you're sealing right in this little area right here, okay? You don't want to just not do it, or right in that little area right there. So if you want to use the plywood because maybe you can't find the MDO, or you're not wanting to, invest in that as far as the cost goes, you can probably get away with the plywood if it's not going to last as long as MDO, but you can probably get away with it if you will primer the heck out of it And of course, start with a good piece of plywood. One of the reasons we don't use plywood is for years we did, and we would go to Home Depot, and I would just, you know, spend hours there rifling through the wood. If you bought wood at any of the big box stores, you know what I'm talking about. So try to start with a really good piece of plywood. Primer the heck out of it. I'm not particular about Kilns or Zinzinger or whatever it is. I haven't found there to be much of a difference in any of them. And then make sure you use something like this as a sealer. This is a 3M product, okay? I don't use this on my MDO because I don't need to. In fact, I tried to take, here's what this sealer, and it doesn't, this is kind of like I call it a liquid plastic, right? So if you're going to use something like this, I would make sure you use it outdoors, and make sure you use it where if you get it on something, your clothes or your skin, you can get it up. It's not going to come off very easy. So it's kind of a hard product to work with in the fact that, but that's what makes it good as far as your edge sealer. So if you're one of those kind of, you know, fighting the battle about MDO because you can't find it, this might be an option for you. And I think if you use this, if you start with good plywood, if you primer the heck out of it, if you use this, you should get probably 5 years maybe out of your plywood. Now MDO, you're going to get 10 or 20. It's just the way it is. But hey, if you get 5 years out of something that you didn't have to pay a lot for the plywood, then you're good to go. So that's hopefully that helps some of you guys on what kind of materials to use. Because I know there's nothing more frustrating than looking for something you can't find. So I'm going to pick this one up. And again, you can see he's got a lot of paint on him. And that's what I do on all my edges. I just do it kind of like that. And earlier, I think it was Debbie that said the hardier the brush, the better you're going to be. Absolutely. So we use a Cotman mop brush. And it doesn't really matter. I don't know that a brand name matters so much as it is that it's a mop brush. This is a 5/8 and this is a 3/4. And we sell both of these at the store. If you can't get them from us, see if you can look on Amazon. I don't really know where to tell you to look other than Amazon. Honestly, this is the 3/8 brush. I don't use it a lot. I stick with this one. This one's a lot easier to control the paint. I would use the 3/8 brush, never on a project this small, right? Because I'm not going to use a big brush for this small. But let's say I was doing, this is a reindeer that I did a stencil. So let's say I was going to paint this red bulb, for example. I'd probably use this 3/4 brush. But the 3/4 brush costs more money, but it's a bigger brush. That's why. And these are mop brushes. Hence the word mop. You're just going to get a lot of paint on there because you're going to mop it on. All right, let me put that up. And then I wanted to show y'all, talked about, so this is a present that is finished. I'm going to tomorrow night talk to you about shading, polka dots, highlighting, and outlining using a script liner. So, but what I wanted to say, especially to those of you that are already in and have been following us on the Painters Club, in the past, this last year, we put cold rolled steel in everything that we sold. This is a piece of 3/16 cold rolled steel. You can get it at the steel supply store. It comes in 12-foot sections and we cut them down, okay? So it's a steel piece of metal that's made out of steel. And we drill right in here a hole, and then of course you'd have to hammer that in. Starting on doing our Valentine's and our New Year's Day pieces forward, all of 2021 on everything, starting with the New Year's and Valentine's pieces, we're not going to hammer this in. We're going to give you the piece and we're going to have the hole there, but you will have to hammer it in. And I'll show you tomorrow night how to do that. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, like any business, we have to be concerned with the safety of our customers and the fact, can we get liability insurance? So when these are sitting out in the garage, we call it the garage, it's kind of like the checkout area at the store. If we're not careful, these are sitting out like this, and some kid walks by, or even an adult, this is potentially something that could poke an eye out. That's been a biggest fear of ours. And our insurance carrier has asked us to not insert these in because of the fact that when they're sitting there in the garage, they could really poke somebody. The other thing about that is when we ship out to customers who buy blanks, here's the way this works. If I have of course I'm not going to have what I thought I needed. Oh, here it is. Hold on, y'all. So the way we have to charge shipping, and anybody has to charge shipping, not just us, this piece is actually, just say under 14 inches tall by 10.5 inches wide. So 14.5 by 10. But because we've always inserted the cold roll steel for shipping, we have to charge, because we're being charged, almost 22 inches with that stake on there, because that stake's about 8 inches. So if we can take off 8 inches of not having to pay in shipping, then that's going to help those of you that are ordering online. So there's 8 inches right here of a box that we have to account for, that because we basically have to pay what is called dimensional weight. What that means is we're not charged by the weight of this. It doesn't weigh that much. We're actually charged, and we have to charge you by the size. So there's a big difference in charging the customer almost 22-inch box versus a 14-inch box. So that's really going to help those of you that we're shipping to. And the way this is going to work, I'll do a video tomorrow, and we'll be having lots of reminders. Actually, in fact, all month this December, we'll be showing you over and over how to do it. It's not hard. You basically turn it over. You have this right here. You hammer it in. It's not hard. So that is going to be different because this first year we had the cold roll steel mounted in there for you. We will still give you the cold roll steel, but you'll have to mount it in there yourself. The hole will still be drilled. You'll still get this piece, but you'll have to insert it. Hopefully that makes sense. It's going to help out with our shipping, the amount of money we have to charge for shipping. And that's a definite plus. But just like everybody else, whenever I get commercial liability insurance, they vet me, meaning the company comes out and looks at everything we do and don't do. And I don't always have to do everything they ask, but there are some things I do have to do, and this is one of those things. So if I want to be insured, but thinking about it when they brought it to my attention and thinking about this just laying out there, it could poke somebody. So I don't have a problem with it. And I hope you guys understand that, and I hope y'all won't have a problem with it. But I'll show you tomorrow night about how to do that. It's not hard. So we talked about the video section of Facebook, finding older videos if you want to do that. If you can't find MDO, try to find some plywood, get you some edge sealer, and make sure you just primer the heck out of everything. And then this, you're only going to use this product on the edge right here. That's what I mean by the edge. You're not going to use that product on the face, and you're not going to use that product on the back. You're going to use that on the edge. Talked about cold roll steel. And if you want blanks, make sure you get them picked up before Christmas Eve, which we close at 2 o'clock. And we'll be back open on the 9th of January. Starting in January, we will be closed on Mondays like we usually are most of the year. Let's see if I have any other comments. For some reason, my comments are not scrolling. I think we're good. Let's see. I think we're good. I'll go back through here and see if I need to answer anything. Hopefully, I got it all. And tomorrow, we will be back on here doing the what I call the decorative painting. And then our Academy doors will open on Wednesday morning. If you would like to join us in the Academy, remember you get 15% off blanks, not the paint, but the blanks, and not the paint supplies, but the blanks you do. And that will be open on, let's see, December 3rd. Let's see, yeah, because today's the 3rd. It'll be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll close it Sunday night. If you want to join us, we'd love to see you and love to have you. If not, no big deal. You'll get 15% off your blanks. And then, of course, you'll have access to the Academy where we have videos that go about everything. Staking, how to cut your own. If you don't want to buy blanks from us and you want to make your own blanks, we go through a whole thing about jigsawing, how to cut out of the jigsaw, how to use graphite paper. So the whole point of the yard art business that we have is that I think it's important that the customer gets to choose the level of participation that is appropriate for that customer. And we are individuals, and so that's going to be an individual decision. There's customers, they'll watch us paint and they'll say, I ain't doing that. I'm going to buy the end product from Mary and Ashley because I'm not dealing with that. That's great. That we love that. There's customers who are going to look at us and they're going to like, I'll buy the blanks. I can paint the blanks. You know, I can learn to do that. I can do that. That's great. We're appreciative of that. And then there's customers, especially for those of you that don't live locally. And by the time you buy the blank and you ship the blank, you're like, wait a minute, I can't put that kind of money in there. And the Academy, I think, is really good for those folks because there's a lot of information in there that would help you if you just want to be on your own. You don't want to buy the blanks from us. You don't want to buy the paint from us. You don't want to, buy brushes from us or whatever the case may be. You don't have to. And that's what I like about our scenario. You guys really get to choose. And if you don't want to buy anything from us, you don't have to. You can just watch us. I mean, just sharing our videos or sharing our posts on Facebook, if you didn't buy one thing from us, just sharing our content is very important. So there's all kinds of ways that you guys can participate and not participate. I think we've even said, I think Ashley's told y'all, I hope she has, we'll be having, for those of you that are local, when COVID is over, and y'all, it's going to be over one of these days, please, sometime in 2021, one of our remodel projects is that we will be remodeling our business. The little house sits there, and we will do in-person paint parties for those of you that want to come in person. And, maybe you have a group of Girl Scouts or you have a group of your girlfriends. Y'all want a girls' night out and y'all want to come over and we'll all paint yard art together. And you'll have either me or Ashley as your instructor and kind of right there at your elbow showing you and demonstrating what to do. So that's another avenue. So there's all sorts of things. So we love that we get to share with y'all and that we get to have some fellowship with you guys. Love reading your comments. Thank you for sharing our post. Thank you for supporting us. And most importantly, any questions that you have, I'll go back through here. I'll answer them, as best I can. I'll see you here tomorrow night. We're going to do decorative painting on our Christmas present. And I'll even put some glitter on this to show those of you that haven't seen the glittering portion. We'll glitter it tomorrow night. Hope you guys have a good evening. I've enjoyed being with you. Y'all have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. I'm Mary Amick with Yard Art or Us. Hope you guys are doing well today. It's been raining here in Pearland, Texas. Kind of over the rain, but hey, tomorrow it's supposed to be a pretty day. And because today's been yucky, and so I haven't been able to get my paint to dry today, y'all. Okay. Hi, Debbie. How are you? Hi, Cindy. So glad you ladies could join me. I'm putting a little bit of water and stirring this, stirring some paint up because it's getting a little gummy, waiting on everybody to kind of log on. We're going to do some decorative painting on these little presents and showing you guys how easy that is. But we'll give everybody a few minutes to jump on. Hey, Pamela, how are you doing? Y'all know I'm famous for always putting water in my paint. So tonight I'm going to be doing some shading and outlining. And when you're shading and outlining, I really like for my paint to, kind of like when you're base coating, it really doesn't matter if your paint's real thick or not. But when you choose to do the decorative painting, like shading, highlighting, outlining, that sort of thing, you need to make sure that paint's got a little bit thinned down. Because if it's real pasty and gummy, it's not going to go the way you want it to go. Hey, Dolores, how are you? Thank you, Debbie, for sharing to the two groups. I tell you what, there's some things that I'm just not good at, and I'm so glad Debbie is, because it's like, okay. Hey, Kathy, how are you? I'm going to show y'all how to do a little bit of shading. I know that's some of the favorite things that you guys get to do, watch me do and learn how to do, but I cannot stress enough. If you keep working on the shading and the outlining, you're good to go. That's really all there is to it as far as degree of difficulty. Hey, Pam, how are you? Hey, Katie, how are you doing? I am gonna do a little bit of shading, not a whole lot. I think I told you guys last night, this is what that end product will look like. And so at the end of the video today, I'm gonna actually show you guys how to glitter these. But because they're already dry, we could do that. But we have to get to the part where I show you guys how to shade and how to do the polka dots and how to do the outlining. So I have my dark red, my dark green, and I have my shading red, and I have white, because that's kind of really what I'm working with. So anytime you're in a pickle and you don't have shading red, grab your red, grab your black, and mix it. That's all this is. I just mix it until you get this color. So that's one thing that'll kind of help you. Now I'm going to use a flat tip brush. I should have already had my brush selected, but of course, who's going to be organized and have anything done before you get started? So I've got a flat tip brush here. This is a Cotman. It says it's a 13 millimeter, which is basically 1/2 inch, but it's got something in it, y'all. So I don't know what's in there. Hey, Lauren. So I've got something in this brush. I don't know what happened, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do some shading on the red. Now on this present, it's on the red's on the box, and so I'm going to shade the box, and it's really simple. Since I'm putting polka dots on here, I'm only shading this outer part, or the outer perimeter part of the box. But if you look at shading, it's just doing that tip of that brush like we like to show you guys. And it's really pretty doggone simple, as long as you're just kind of keeping it on the tip of the brush. But it just gives you such what I would call a finished look, a really pretty softer look than just not having any shading on there. If you'll stick with the shading and get that part down, you're gonna get to the point where you can really do anything you want in terms of the kind of painting as far as that we do here at Yard Art or Us. So I've got that, and I'm gonna leave all this alone because obviously I'm gonna put my polka dots on it. So I'm gonna come over here, and I'm just using the tip of that brush, and I'm going around the outside of this present right now. And then of course I'm gonna hit up right up here close to the green. And for me, I think a lot of the shading too is I don't go real slow. For me, having a strong, having a very even line of paint is about, just for me, it's just really about kind of keeping that brush going. And because to me, if I go real slow, it just makes me more nervous, I guess. So I just put a little bit of shading on my box, okay? I'm gonna come back in a little bit with a little bit of hair drying. Hey, Kim, how are you doing? Hey, Carla, I'm glad you guys could join us. I am just showing you guys how to do some shading on the bow right now and the ribbon. Keeping that hand as steady as you can. And notice I'm really not moving. My hand is not really what moves. If you notice what moves, because you're doing yard art, so you're painting over a fairly large area. So really what moves is your shoulder and your elbow more than I think your hand does. So that's, I think if you can keep that in mind, that would be helpful. And then I'm gonna just kind of come over here. And all I'm doing is following those CNC lines. That's all I'm really doing. Just kind of following that wherever the bit of that CNC went, that's kind of what I'm shading. Yeah, yesterday our air compressor went out on our CNC. So that was kind of a little disaster. Hey Kitty, how are you? So glad you could join us. And today the vacuum pump, it didn't go out, but it was having technical difficulties. So we were all over there trying to figure out how to get the vacuum pump back. See, in our world, if your vacuum pump is not working, your machine doesn't work, because the vacuum pump is the pump that holds down the MDO to the bed of your CNC. So just think about a CNC that what we have is like a huge router. Most of y'all have seen a router. In CNC, they call it a spindle, but it's a huge router, and it comes down and it plunges and it cuts or it scores the pattern. So while that arm of that router is coming down that spindle, if your vacuum pump doesn't hold that material very, very, very tight and straight and all the time where your material is always stationary, never moves. That's the job of the vacuum pump. If your vacuum pump isn't working, your material starts moving everywhere on you. There's no way you can route or anything. So I think we finally figured it out, got it going. But, you know, it's always something, y'all. And the thing about those sorts of things, it's not like you can go to your local mechanic and say, I need you to fix this. It doesn't work that way. You either fix your vacuum pump or you have to get somebody who really knows what they're doing, who's probably nowhere near Pearland or Houston, Texas. So therefore, that's your motivation to learn how to fix your vacuum pump. Hey, Tanya, how are you doing? So I have my little jug of water. I've got my shading red, and I'm just going to put it in here. Going to wash that off. Going to clean my brush out. It's kind of good for my brush to have a little bit of water in it. You don't want a ton of water. You don't want it dripping wet like that. That's too much. But you can always clean that brush out with water. That's all it is in here is just water. And then just kind of lay your brush down like on a paper towel and get some water back out of it. Now we're going to go to our shading green. And I'm going to do with the green just what I did with the red. So when I'm working with a flat tip brush, we call it a shader, but it's really a flat tip brush. And I just washed it out, and you can kind of see how my fibers in my brush are all kind of stuck together, right? Because I just washed it. So what I do a lot of times is I'll just sit here and I'll make that brush fan out, because when I'm shading, I want my brush to fan out a little bit. I don't want that brush for all of these to be stuck together like that. If it's stuck together like that, you're not gonna get any painting done. So I'll just sit here and just kind of move that back and forth. I've got quite a bit of pressure on it. And that's how I get my brush to fan out for me. And then I kind of pick up some more paint over here. And all I'm doing is taking this green and making that green touch that shading red. Where I just shaded the red, I'm doing my shading green to touch that. I guess you could say it's kind of butting it up right there, touching it, if you will. And so today I think we got the vacuum pump going. Yesterday it was the compressor. Y'all, it's always something. I guess it's just part of the life. It's just the way life is. And of course, we're trying to really put out product because it's a busy time, and so you really do not want to see your equipment not work. I can tell you, if you want to see me or my husband or our son scramble, let something go down with that machine, and we are scrambling like you've never seen before. But I think, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, I think we got it all fixed. Okay, so I've got my box shaded. Now, I'm also gonna have to dry this with the dryer, and when it's doing that, I've got a few things I'll talk to y'all about while it's doing that. But let me put some green on here, because I wanna dry this, because I want you guys to see how my white polka dots look. So let's see, washed. It's like, yes. And hey, I was asking a girl yesterday, she's in California, and she's been helping us on Facebook. And she's like, you know, Mary, I just love to hear you talk. And I'm like, are you making fun of my accent? You know, and she's like, do you think you have one? I said, no. She goes, okay, good. Hey, Mona, how are you? And I guess none of us think we do have an accent, you know, but I'm sure we probably do. But she was laughing at me, and I was like, y'all, I didn't think I had an accent, but evidently I do. I don't think it's an accent. I just think everybody around here talks like that. Hey, isn't that what an accent is called? How all the locals sound alike? So I've got my green. See how easy it is to paint yard art? Y'all, it's just super easy. And I've got my green. I'll do that. So I'm going to, I have my trusty hair dryer here, y'all, and I always have it hooked up, because sometimes you're in a hurry. You just don't have time to lollygaggle around and let paint dry. So I'm going to do this, kind of move it this way, and let this dry a little bit. It really doesn't take too long for it to dry, and it's not going to be dry as in cured, but I'm going to make it dry enough that I can get away with putting the white dots on here, because I want you guys to be able to see everything I do. And just as a recap, last night I talked to you guys about the fact that we're not going to be putting the cold roll steel anymore on the pieces. We'll still give you the steel. We'll still show you, we'll still have a drill there. In fact, I promised y'all I'd show y'all how to do that. As soon as this is dry, I'll show y'all how we put the cold roll steel in there. And we did that for safety and for shipping. Just makes things easier. And also, I think we had somebody asking, she said she couldn't read about this is a 3M edge sealer. And it's by 3M, and it's called Edge Sealer. And then there's a number right there. I think it's $39.50. You can get it on Amazon. For those of you that want to use plywood, because maybe you don't have MDO near where you're at, and you're trying to make yard art. So if you want to use plywood and you can't find the MDO, make sure that you use this on the edges. And this is what I'm calling the edge, this part right here. That's your edge. Because that's where moisture is going to make it in. Now I use MDO, so I don't worry about that. But MDO is a lot more expensive than just regular plywood. Hey, Debbie, turn your camera. Okay. As in, this way, Debbie? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure. All right, need you to turn your camera around for us to read, take a pic, and put the comments. Okay. Hold on just a second. I'll do that. That was what Debbie was saying. I knew better than that. Hold on. I even know how to do that, y'all. Hold on just a second. Let's see. Let's go here. And let's do that. All right, let's try this again. Can y'all see that now? 3M Edge Sealer. Okay. It's backwards. Let me try it again. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Debbie knows she has to keep after me because I'm a slow learner, y'all. So that's 3M Edge Sealer $39.50. Okay. And that will help you. It's still backwards, y'all? Okay, let me try it again. Okay, so we got it. 3M Edge Sealer. You can get it on Amazon. And this, if you're going to use plywood, this is what I would use on the edges. Let me see if I can get this off of there. This is what it looks like, y'all. It's almost like I would think of like a liquid glue. And that's what I would use to seal the edges. Because if you're going to have moisture get in plywood, it's going to get in right here. That's where it's going to get in. The moisture is not going to get in on the face. It's going to get in on these edges, okay? So if you'll use this, again, 3M, put it this way, Edge Sealer, and let's put it $39.50. Okay, thank y'all. Oh, Lord, I'm depending on y'all. Okay, so this is pretty dry. It's not technically dry enough, but, you know, for a video, it's dry enough. Now, let's see. You know what? I don't even think I have any cold roll steel here. Hold on just a second, y'all. Let me see if I can find some. I'll be right back. Of course, I can't find any cold roll steel. I'll have to do it on another video. But basically, you take this, you turn it upside down, because here's the hole. You're going to put your cold roll steel. We turn it upside down. You're going to put your cold roll steel right here. You got a hammer. You hammer it in. That's what you do. That's how you get it to go in. Now, it's not, you have to put a little pressure on the hammer, but that's about it, okay? So we won't be putting these in starting with our New Year's and Valentine's pieces. And this is really gonna help cost-wise on shipping. And also it's a safety issue because of the fact that these are laying out there in the garage. We really don't want anybody's eyes to get messed up, y'all. That wouldn't be good. Okay, so this is pretty dry enough. I'm gonna put it to you that way. And I have a foam pouncer. You can get this at, you can get them on Amazon. You can get them at the dollar store. You might not find this brand at the dollar store, but you don't have to use this one per se. You can get these like these at the dollar store or Walmart. And they're just foam pouncers. You can get them in all sorts of sizes. I'm just happening to use this size. This is I use the size that I think looks best with my project. So obviously, if you have a big project, you're gonna want a bigger circle. My project's not very big. But what I would do is I'd put it on there and I kind of take it back off. I just use the lid of my little paint jug, my little 2-ounce paint cups right here. So I've got a lot of paint on there. And I'm a fan of actually making that go off the edge a little bit. So what I do is I just kind of do what I think looks good. And I keep kind of putting paint on here. And once I get that where I want it, I just twist it maybe about a quarter of the way. I don't make a whole circle. And I just kind of keep doing that over and over until I get it the way I want it. And I think the idea here is for things not to look totally uniform, but to look good. So it really is just what you think looks good. That's all it is. For me, I like polka dots, so I'm gonna call that a success. I might even come over here and just do a little bit on the edge, like that. And I'll keep putting paint on here until I feel like I've got enough on there. So I put it down and I twist it about a quarter of the way. You know, something like that. And that gives me, you're gonna have a little bit of paint texture in there. Like the paint looks a little uneven or bumpy, I guess, for lack of a better word. That's pretty normal. I don't know how to make it any other way. So if you're worried about that, I don't know how to make that any different. I think it looks good that way, so I go with it. Now I have, and again, I'm not necessarily trying to make these two sides look identical. You want them to look balanced and you want them to look symmetrical, but not necessarily identical. There's a difference, or I think there's a difference. So I've got that. I think I'm gonna leave that. And then I just stick this in the water and I'll wash it out. I'm almost done, but not quite. So I'm gonna go back to my present here, and I'm going to get my trusty script liner. Those of you that watch me know that we use these all the time. And basically I'm just gonna kind of come in here with the green and I'm filling in that CNC line, making sure I've got a lot of paint in there because I don't want that CNC line to show. So you kind of just go in there and put a lot more paint in there. And I'm just filling that CNC line with paint. That's all I'm doing. So this green, this shading green, I did the shade with that flat tip brush or the shader, and I'm using the same color and just kind of going in here, putting more paint there. And I'll probably do something like this, right? Just kind of put a little bit of a dash there. Some reason I'm not seeing comments. Let's see. Hold on a second. I better get up there. Let me see if I can figure this out. Why I'm not seeing comments. Let me go back here. All right. Okay, we're good. So I'm coming in here, and you can see with that flat tip brush, I forgot. I have one brush stroke here, but I don't here. No big deal. Get my brush back out, and I'm going to use this because I want this to match this. There we go. Okay. So let me keep going with this. Yes, I think I'm good. Now, I'm going to wash this brush out, this script liner. I'm going to wash it out. I'm going to pick up that shading red. And I'm going to put just a little bit more on the edges. I'm just doing that to give me a really thick look on the edge. You don't necessarily have to do this part if you don't want to. I just like having the very edge have lots and lots and lots of shading color on it. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. No big deal. I just like having lots of paint on there. Now, y'all know that Ashley and I always say the piece is not finished unless and until we finish this. Got to put a little bit of white here. Hey, Glenda, I'm glad you could join me. We are, I'm painting a little bit of a present challenge. I'm hoping I show you guys how easy it is to paint yard art. I think it's super fun, but a lot of times people say it's so hard, I could never do that. Yeah, you can. All you do is follow the steps and you can do it. Anybody can do it. I mean, if you want to, it's work. So you got to put the work in. But, so that'll kind of give you an idea. I haven't been on a live but maybe 20 minutes. And here's my present. Now, see, I got quite a bit of paint on there, but I think we're good. So I'm going to move on because I want to show you guys how to glitter. I know that comes up a lot. Not that you have to glitter, it's strictly personal preference. Up to you if you want to. Of course, we always do. That's just kind of the look that we like. So a lot of times we get lots of questions about glittering. So today's been a wet day. I haven't glittered anything all day. I don't glitter in the wet because it's a lot of trouble to try to, if you glitter outside in the wet, you better make sure you're under a covering and then bring it back in the house, because if you leave it outside and it's wet, it's not going to dry, and then your poly turns cloudy on you and it doesn't dry and it's just a big mess. But tomorrow I'll be glittering. Yeah, so tomorrow I'll get a lot of glittering done because today I didn't get any done. But one thing I'll show you guys is, and I don't know that I've showed this before because I just really didn't think about it. This is a little, I guess it's called a touch-up kit. I got this one at Home Depot, but you can find them anywhere. So if you wanted to, you don't have to. One of the things you can do, this is poly, okay, that we always use. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. So let's pretend for a minute that I'm done polying, which I'm not. If you want to, you could always leave this in here, and I've done this for a long time too. Put your lid on, and if you do that, then you can kind of come back, and the next time you want to polish something, there you go. It's the same concept with paint. If you wanted, if there's a color you use over and over and over and over, you could, instead of poly, you do that. If you're going to leave it in there, what I would do is put it in a freezer bag, not just a regular gallon bag, but a freezer bag. And if you do that, then it's not going to air out. It's gonna, that roller is going to stay just as moist and damp and wet as it is right now, and that's really what you want. So don't feel like you have to do that. This is what we do with a lot of ours. Paint. This is in a bag, right? We use a lots of white, and I just put this in the bag. This is a freezer bag. Okay, I stick it in there and I just close it. Now, if you leave this in here for 6 months and don't do anything with it, this will dry out. But if you use it over and over again, you know, even if you only use it once a week, it's not going to dry out. But it's kind of like anything else. If this sits here for months at a time, it will dry out, even though this is a freezer bag, not just a gallon bag. So let's go back to glittering. So I've got this. I've got some poly in here. I'm going to just do this guy right here. And he's a little guy, obviously. Hey, Beverly, how are you? I'm glad you could join me. I am right now showing everybody what I do in terms of glitter. So I'm going to load my roller up. Now, here's the thing about a roller. I can use this roller and get away with this because I'm going to put glitter on this. But sometimes when you use a roller like this and you don't put glitter on it, it's going to leave a little bit of bubbles in the finish. And so you may not want to do that. But if I know I'm going to put glitter on something, I roller my glitter. I roller my poly. If I'm not going to put glitter on something, I'll show you in just a second something different that I do. But in this case, I'm going to put poly on there, and I'm going to put glitter in just a minute. But all I do is put on a generous coat, and I've just rollered the poly back and forth. I like to go back and forth, left and right. That way I know I've got it everywhere, okay? And I'll go ahead and put this lid back on because I don't necessarily want, what do I do with my lid? Oh, right here. I don't necessarily want any glitter in there, y'all. So I'll put my lid back on. And because I don't want this to dry out. Hey, Melissa, how are you? Oh, yeah. The condiment cups don't really dry out for me, but they will. But let me tell you why they don't dry out for me. Because every day, this is what I do. So I don't worry about them drying out because I use a lot of water in what I do. And so this is how I make sure. It's a small, cheap way to use a little bit of paint at a time. And so every day when I'm working, I always put water in here. But if you don't put water in here, they will. You're right, they will. So I've got my good coat of poly on there. And I would do probably something about like that. You can see that where that's a lot of that, right? And I always think of this as seasoning food that you cook. When you're seasoning food, the idea is to get it evenly as you can. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect because it's done by hand, you know. So I just kind of shake it back and forth until I get as much glitter on there as I want. There's not any right or wrong answer about how much glitter. It's just what pleases your eye. And I'm going to show you what pleases my eye. You can do whatever. But that's how much glitter I have on there. And you can see it's pretty doggone wet, right? And you can even see a little bit of that glitter falling off the edges there, a little bit, right? So I'm gonna let this dry. Now, let me talk to you for a minute about what it means to let something dry. Hold on, I had to get that off me. So there's dry, there's bone dry, and there's cured. Dry means that if I put my fingers on this, my fingers are not gonna have moisture on them when I lift it up. To me, that's dry. Bone dry means when I put my fingers down here, not only is not anything gonna be lifting up, but when I touch this thing, it is really dry. And then cured means in about 3 weeks, this is cured. So when you think about painting your house, you know, you paint the wall. Well, the wall's dry, but it's really not cured for a couple of weeks. So we paint year round. And so on the glitter stuff, what I can tell you is I'll be glittering some stuff this February, right? That I'm not gonna sell till Christmas of 2021. And I'll put it in our storage because we have lots of storage off site. And I'll go, say I put something in there in February and I go back in July because in Texas it's real hot. And in July, the piece that I have glitter on and poly and everything feels very different to me than the way it felt in February. Why? Because in February it was dry, but it wasn't cured. But when it stays in those storage units, month in and month out, and you go back and touch it, it's almost like the poly and the glitter have crystallized or caramelized, and they've really, really hardened. And so we paint all year because that's what it takes to be able to have the stock and the inventory. But so a lot of times when people say, well, how long does it take for something to dry? Geez, that's a loaded question because it might be dry to your fingertips in a few minutes if you're in Texas in July and it's 2 o'clock and it's, you know, 100 degrees. Right now I'm in Texas. I got my ceiling fan going, but it's November and it's wet outside. So this is gonna take a little longer to dry. In fact, I'm gonna hit it with the hair dryer here in a minute just so you can kind of see what I'm gonna do to top coat this with some more poly. So I polyed it, I sprinkled my glitter on there, I'm letting it dry. Now, I need a few minutes for it to dry, so I wanna show you guys something else, and then I'll put a top coat on here. Hold on just a second. I should have had this done, but you know, hey. Okay, so I said a little earlier that I use a roller to put on poly when I know I'm gonna glitter. But let's say in the springtime, we don't put glitter on our stuff for Easter, for example. We don't do that, and we don't do it for Halloween either. So really the only time we glitter is Christmas. But if I were, let's pretend this was an Easter egg for a minute and I wanted to poly it. I would probably poly it with this little, I call it a flat wall painter. You can get these at any store. And I would use this to kind of push that poly all around because I know if I use this, the chances of me having bubbles come up in that poly as it's drying on the piece are pretty slim. Whereas if I'm using this, my little roller right here, y'all, and I roller a generous amount and I don't put glitter on here, the chances are I'm gonna get some bubbles in there. So I'm going to turn this on low and I'm gonna kind of put my hand here because I don't want it to directly hit. I'm trying to get this to dry real quick, and honestly it's not gonna be dry, but I'm trying to get it dry enough that I can show y'all how to top coat that poly to where you'll make sure You want your glitter to stay where you want it to stay. You don't want to pick this present up and the glitter to fall off, right? So pick it up right now. I'm gonna have some fall off. That's okay. So we're going to pretend that I let this dry all the way. I didn't because I'm in a hurry. But if it's July outside and I just put it on, it's Texas, it's hot, I might let it dry an hour. It'll be totally dry in an hour because it's so hot. If it's inside at night, I'll probably come up the next morning and it'll be dry and I can put the top coat. So I'm gonna show y'all that right now. I'm gonna top coat this. So we put poly on, we put glitter on, we're letting that dry. Now we need to come back and put one more coat of poly on. Why am I putting poly on top of this? Because I want the glitter to stay where it's supposed to. Then all it is you just kind of roll it back and forth and it goes on milky or cloudy or white looking or ever how you want to say that, and that's normal. And you can see the glitter comes off on the roller. That's normal. That's what happens. So I'm going to put a little bit more on here. And then, because this is November, and I know it's wet outside today, I'm gonna leave this in the house in my art room here, and I'll come back in the morning and it'll all be dry. But it's important to put that last top coat of poly on there because you want that glitter to stay where you want it to stay. And that way it won't fall off. Now you can look at how milky this looks, right? It looks kind of milky. That's pretty doggone normal. It's supposed to look just like that. Does that flat square pad leave fibers? The larger one I have, I've never had that. If it is leaving fibers, that's not good. So what I would do, if it's a new one, that's never happened to me. But what I would do is I would sit here, I've just got my fingernails, and I would try to rake out the loose fibers in there. That's what I would do. It hasn't happened to me, but if it did, that's exactly what I would do, is sit there and try to rake out any loose fibers if you can. So, good point though. That'll show you kind of how milky that is, right? That's pretty normal, y'all. That's the way it is. But then tomorrow, when you look at this, it's gonna look crystal clear, dry, pretty, shiny, glittery. And then of course at night, if you put a spotlight on it, it's really gonna shine up. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. And hopefully you guys have learned something. We love having an opportunity to share with y'all. If you're thinking about joining the Academy, we're opening tomorrow, and we'll be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 4 days. And it's a membership for every month, and you can cancel anytime you want, but there's all sorts of things in that membership platform. If you think you want to do yard art and you want to learn more and, you know, make your own blanks, make your own templates, you don't have to buy blanks from us or whatever it is that you want to do. But we love having y'all, and hopefully inspiring you guys to make some Christmas presents or other Christmas yard art, because you know what? Pretty soon it's going to be over because it's already December the 2nd. In fact, I'll be on tomorrow. I'm going to show y'all. I'll be on the regular Painters Club page. Let's see if I can find what I'm going to show y'all tomorrow. Okay. I have a polka dot stocking I'm working on. We've been working on polka dot stockings. So I'm going to come on here and show y'all how to do this. And I'll get on tomorrow's. It'll be sometime in the afternoon. It won't be tomorrow night. And then Friday night, I'm actually doing a Valentine's piece. Sunday, Miss Victoria is doing a Valentine's piece, and nothing like actually doing a sneak preview on Monday. And Victoria's already painted one of them that's going to be on the sneak preview, and I will have already painted one, but that's okay. It's just kind of the way it worked out. But I'll be on here tomorrow doing a polka dot stocking, pointed toe polka dot stocking. I'll be on here Friday doing a Cupid holding a heart. Miss Victoria will be on Sunday. Y'all, she's doing some New Year's. Oh, she's doing... It's a super cute gnome inside a wine glass. And then Monday, Ashley will be doing a sneak peek. So remember, the store will be closed December 24th through January 8th. We'll open back up on the 9th. So if you know you need blanks for Valentine's or New Year's, make sure you get those orders in before December 24th. So hope you guys have a good night. I will go back through the comments. If y'all have any questions, I'll be sure and try to answer those. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.